The Tower of London on Blu-ray. This is going to be from 1939. This is going to be my day 10 of 31 in my 31 days of horror. But why is this historical drama in a Universal Horror collection? Is this even a horror movie? So this was also one of the longest ones, and so I curled up with a crispy, spicy, cold barks and tuned in for the 93 minutes of this movie. It's from a new 2K scan, as you can see. It actually looked really great all the way through. There was just like one persistent scratch like on the right side of the screen that almost never went away, but other than that, it looked really good. But seriously, why is this in a horror movie collection? So it has Boris Karloff, but that shouldn't get you into a collection by itself. So if you look at the synopsis, it says that there's a, what does it say? There's a mad murderous executioner. So I think if somebody's mad, it means that they can go into a horror collection. That's the only stretch that I could gather that it could be in a horror movie, because really it's just a historical, like, super epic drama. But being a historical movie, there's quite a bit of horrible, terrible things that people do to each other that I don't even want to list here, but a lot of murders and tortures. And so to me, those parts of it started feeling like a horror movie. But again, it's more just like a medieval, like, political intrigue, drama, historical, like, kind of murder, rise to power kind of a movie. So it's weird that it's in this Universal Horror collection, but it's in here and I'm going to review it. And I had an absolute blast watching it. It was so epic and awesome. So this forward showed up, and actually it could not have been more timely watching this movie and just thinking about what's going on in the world right now and the dark stains that are being left on the pages of history. So this forward started, I mean, it scrolls down and there's some more, but once I read this part, like, it really hit me pretty heavily because what's going on right now. So Boris Karloff has one of the coolest entrances of a character in this movie. Look at this thing. Look at his face, look at his mouth specifically. All right. So this is a pretty awesome entrance, and he's got a guy down there cranking the wheel for him, but he's like aggressively sharpening this thing, and he's just like, just his expression is so, it's like aggressive and dark, and also something off about him. You're gonna find out later he's got like some weird twisted foot or something, but just this entrance, when you see him, you see that it's almost like he takes pleasure in keeping his axe sharp, and you just know something's wrong with him. And so I just think this is a nice entrance and a nice little bit of acting on Boris Karloff, on his part. So this movie actually has a lot of medieval torture in it, and implied medieval torture, which I was going to show, but I changed my mind. But you get Boris Karloff, he's like the executioner, and he's like the torture guy, and so he has this area that has all these different tortures going on, and they're just like showing stuff, and they even showed an actual pressing, and as he's walking by a guy, he bends down and picks up another weight and puts it on the board, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Okay, this next scene that I'm going to show stood out to me for a lot of reasons. One, because I think it is what our modern action movies are seriously lacking, which is why I've been so disappointed lately. And two, because it's a cool fight training scene. So look at this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. This is the king and his brother. So this doesn't look like it's been sped up at all. And obviously it's choreographed, so it's very careful. Okay, I'm not going to show any more. Hopefully that was enough to get my point across. So yes, it's choreographed, and obviously they're not really trying to hurt each other, and obviously those weapons are probably super fake, and really you'd have to try to hurt someone with them. But the one thing that they are displaying right here, boop, that other action movies don't do nowadays is moxie. I decided that's what it is. And what I mean by moxie is that they're actually fighting like violently and aggressively. Again, I know it is a choreographed fight, but if you take these guys pretending to fight in this training scene and compare it to every single action scene in Matrix Resurrections, which is Matrix 4, you'll see that this is more violent and purposeful feeling. Or if you take this practice fight scene and compare it to every single like lightsaber combat scene, probably lightsaber on lightsaber combat scene from the new Disney Star Wars show Ahsoka, this will appear to be more aggressive. And because while I was watching the Ahsoka show, I just felt like all the fights were just so soft and gentle. And same thing with Matrix Resurrections. I feel like that movie had no, I'm going to say testosterone, but I don't mean literal testosterone. I mean like the action movie, like just aggressiveness was like soft and fake feeling. And so this movie has really good, like people just going, like anytime there's fighting, there's not too much fighting in it, but anytime there's fighting, like people are just going all out, and it looks so good and it looks so aggressive, and movies don't have it now. The fights now are just so like gentle and slow and awful looking. So there's so many amazing members of the cast in this movie. I just want to talk about this movie for like an hour and just highlight every single one of them and everything I thought during it, but that's not the scope of this review. But I just want to say that every single scene is super epic. The costumes, the set, the music, the action, the writing, like this movie is incredibly well made. Like, I don't know if I can say masterpiece, maybe. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And it came out in 1939. And the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I bet this blew people's minds, and they went back over and over to watch it. That's my guess. I need to do more research on it. I haven't seen the box office numbers yet, but one of the people who made it said he was disappointed in the pacing of it, because every scene was like an absolute peak. He said so the pacing was bad because it never let up, but I really liked that, and it pulled me along the entire time. So right here you have Boris Karloff, the torture guy. He has his own network of fake, well, they might be real, but maybe they're just paid, but he has his own network of homeless people, like beggars, that are basically spies and misinformation spreaders. And so if you think countries spreading misinformation to their own people is a new thing, it's like, and I know this is just a 1939 movie about medieval times, which is a fun restaurant, but it's very interesting that they're portraying like a misinformation campaign to their own people, and they show that he tells them all what to say, and then they all run out and just start telling people, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's probably been happening since the beginning of time. And it's very cool to see like the analog version, right? Because we're used to seeing it on the news or whatever. You start to feel, I mean, historically, before wars, people will dehumanize the other side, or during a war, that's very, very common. And so that's just a part of warfare, is information and misinformation campaigns. And it's cool to see it portrayed in a medieval setting. Do you think any of this is going on right now with what's going on nowadays? So I mentioned there's not a ton of fighting in this movie, but there's kind of two major battles, and then there's some like practice dueling, and then just a whole lot of like sneaking and torturing and political intrigue and murders. A lot of murders. So many murders. But when this scene started, my jaw was on the floor. Like, it's pouring rain, and you've got all these guys, all these medieval guys out in the mud, and I was just like, it's got a cut scene. Like, it's got a cut scene. I was like, it's just gonna show them walking towards each other and then cut, and nope. This is a full-on rainy battle scene, medieval times, from 1939. This is so cool. And the way it's shot is actually pretty great. Like, I mean, it's not Braveheart, but like there's quite a bit of like really good fighting, and it's pretty convincing. And it looked like you got people, look at that. I mean, they're fighting in the water. Looks so good. So anyway, this scene, I mean, it would be even cooler if there was like blood spraying everywhere. But this, I'm very, very impressed with this like large scale medieval battle in 1939. So cool. So when I'm watching these movies, I like to just take notes with a timestamp, and and then kind of write a little bit of what my thoughts are or like what the scene is, so I can refer back to it when I'm doing the video. Uh, there's a few times during this movie that my note consisted of a timestamp and then just the words "holy crap," and it usually involved children. This movie, I mean, this scene right here could be why it's in the horror movie section. I mean, it's not. We already decided it's the mad executioner is the reason it's in a horror section in this collection. But on IMDb, it just says action drama. Anyway, the king is making these kids get married, like 5-year-olds, and this king just the whole time he he just has no. He's like amoral basically, and I mean it's fun to watch, but it's like, oh, that guy sucks, and there's just a lot of really bad people in this movie, but like good old movies are, it definitely ends on a positive note, which I really appreciated. It's pretty funny. This Duke he has like this little closet with a lock that he has like this little diorama with all the people in his way of becoming king, and he removes each figure as he offs them, and so you can kind of track his progress in his evil scheme throughout the movie with him taking his little toys out and burning them. All right, we get to see the young princes playing tennis or something together. So they're there playing tennis together, but here's what I noticed. Look at this. It might be hard to see. This person, I think she is the human scoreboard. I think she has to hold up what score each of them has. And that is just so medieval. I saw that and started laughing. And here is yet another action scene, or like a fight training scene, that just has more moxie than most action movies nowadays. And I'm going to overuse that word. I don't think it's possible to overuse that word. So just be ye warned. Check this out. A sword and a dagger together. And again, I know it's super choreographed and they're trying to be safe and stuff. But they're really going at it. They're fighting hard. And you know what? It looks awesome. It looks awesome and it's super convincing. And do you know what movie has a fight like this? Well, I was thinking of Scarlet Pimpernel has an amazing sword fight in it, but Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Anakin versus Obi-Wan at the end of the movie, like, it's super choreographed to the point where it's basically like almost like a dance, but those guys have moxie when they're fighting each other. Obi-Wan and Anakin, they're fighting hard. And again, even though it's like just like a dance almost because it's so choreographed, they are going at it really hard. And that is just what is missing in modern Star Wars, but a lot of other stuff. I'm kind of killing it into the ground here. But I just miss my moxie in my action scenes. So when I see it, I'm just like, yes. All right. So as per olden movies, there's the young, beautiful couple that we want to end up together. And my goodness, it was touch and go there for a minute. We thought he was going to get married to someone else. She was going to get married to someone else. Someone's going to get cut off. People are going to get their parts cut off. Anyway, look at this scene. So he's coming back across the ocean from France to reunite with his love. He's got his tights on. he's looking longingly ahead. He's holding onto the net in such a weird way. If this character was not so raging heterosexual this entire movie, I'd say this is like the gayest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, he's on his way to be reunited with his love. It's just that scene. them looking out across the ocean and the dramatic music just really, really slapped me in the face. So this movie has so many things in it. It has like romance, action, intrigue, drama, like scary stuff, murders, and it's about to turn into a heist movie. They're gonna steal all the king's gold out of the Tower of London. So they tunneled through and they're just bagging it up and hauling it out because they need to give it to France so that France can fund a war. And it's just the movie. It's goes into heist mode, and then he gets captured, and then he's like getting tortured, and then he's got to break out of jail, and they got to get reunited. There's so much in this movie. It is so incredibly epic. Like I said, I would love to just cover all of it and go through everybody's amazing performance, but I can't because I got to go to sleep eventually. But it's so good. It's so epic, and it's a masterpiece. I'm like, I gotta show my 8-year-old son this, and it's like, whoa, hold up. There's a lot of child death in this thing, and actually, one of the other parts that I wrote "holy crap" in my notes on, I'm not gonna show or address just because it makes me so sad, involving children. But look at this battle scene. It's like foggy almost. There's just huge amounts of extras. Look at this. It looks so good. There you go. Yeah. These battle scenes are great. Absolutely great and convincing. I mean, there is the classic somebody gets stabbed and they hide it like under their arm. You know how like when you're kids you stab and it goes off to the side and they hold it under their arm and they're like, ah, you got me. So they do that on one part and it's a little silly. But these battle scenes are great. Boris Karloff's executioner character has just been bloodlusting the whole time. He's been wanting to finally make it to battle. And he has like a mace and just takes out a ton of people. There he is. There he is again. He's just laying waste. Anyway, every time it shows him, he's just smashing people until he eventually has all these bodies around him. So he's doing good. And he's been craving to go to battle the whole movie. So he finally gets what he wished for. And then this movie has such a happy ending. These two have been trying to get married the whole movie. And finally, oh, look at that. All right. Yes, I reviewed this as a horror movie because it's in a horror collection. And the back says there's terror and it says there's the mad executioner. So this has been day 10 of 31 of my 31 days of horror. And this movie is a masterpiece, is incredible. Everybody should watch it. You might need a little character chart to keep track of everybody. But wow, was it really good. And of course, in the end battle, the evil king gets his and the executioner gets his. And they actually drug the evil king, his dead body around, paraded it around for people to see and spit on and stuff as it went by. And I mean, that makes sense to do that to a despotic leader, but my goodness, we humans like to do that, and it's awful. And so it's kind of hard to watch this movie without thinking of what's currently going on, but it was great. If you like watching reviews like this that are scary movies, then share this playlist with people, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.